Welcome to the recorded webinar for Zog's new and updated Darwinet website, also known as D2. I'm going to walk you through the steps and through accessing the new D2 site at the client level. So this will be showing you how to access client level information. To start off the webinar, I want to show you that there is a new website that you will see referenced in your client user login when we send you the email with the new client user login that you will have. As you see at the top in the browser window, it references the new Darwinet website. This will be different. You will no longer need to log in to the old version of Darwinet, which we are referencing as D1, going forward once you are live and up and running in the new Darwinet website known as D2. So again, you will see there is a new website. This will be for both client and employee users. You will no longer need to access two separate websites if you have both client and employee access. The employee login setup will be a little different versus the client login setup. As I stated, we will send you an email with your new client user login, which you will input here in the login screen, along with your temporary password that we will provide you in the email with the new link. Then you will simply just press login. Once you press the login button, it will then take you into the new Darwinet site. As employees, they will have to go out and create their own user ID and password now in the new D2 system, and they will use this new user sign-on. But again, I'm going to be walking you through the client side of the D2 website. A few things that I'd like to note before we start the webinar is that there will be a change in the email notices only for employees going forward. The employees will no longer receive email notices in advance prior to their pay date. They also will not be able to see their pay stubs until their actual pay date. Going forward, employees will only receive the email notice and have access to view their pay stubs through the new D2 site on the actual pay date. However, the client users will still receive the email notice prior to the actual pay date once we process the payroll for your specific company. So again, the client will still receive their email notices in advance. It's just a change for the employee. Any termed employees that are termed after we have transitioned you over to the new D2 site will still have access up to 6 months after their last W-2 is posted or received through the D2 site. So that's another change as well. If employees need to access their prior pay information or a prior W-2, they will have access up to 6 months after they've had their last W-2 posted or received. The 2017 data will be transferred over when we do your transition into the D2 system. So you will be able to access all 2017 data initially. And then we will transfer over the prior data historically back to 2015 soon after the transition. So the employees will eventually have their access cut off pretty quickly after we transition them and have you send out the employee announcement that we've referenced in the email to you, that you will also need to send out to all employees to show them how to log in to the new D2 site. But you, as a client user, will still be able to access your client login for a little bit in D1. So that way you can access historical data should you need to for a while. But after a while, once we've transitioned you over and all of your historical data back to 2015 has been transferred over to D2, we will eventually cut off your client user access in D1. So let me go ahead and log in. I'm going to log in a demo environment just so you can see what it's going to look like. So when you log in, again, you're going to get your client user ID, which we will create for you, and then a temporary password. Then you as a client user will click log in. Once you click log in, it will take you to the new D2 site. And this is what your home page, or as they refer to as dashboard, in the D2 system will look like. Again, I am logged in a demo client environment, so you might see more information in my demo environment through the webinar than what you will see in your client level access, just depending on what you have set up for you at your company. So the first thing I want to note on here is initially when you log in, it should default to your employee level access, to your client level access. Unless you want it to default to your employee level access, it should default to your client level. So to change back and forth, if you have both client and employee access, you will be able to now switch back and forth or toggle back and forth between both client level and employee level. To do this, you will simply go down to this drop down, click on this, and you see we're in the client site right here. You can just click on, it will be your employee ID here and your name. To view your employee information, you would click on that at the employee level, and it will take you to your employee homepage. Again, this is only if you have employee level access in addition to your client level access. So no more having to log out and go to a different website. You will now be able to access either all companies or both your client and employee level access in the same login now. So to go back to your client view, you click on the down arrow again and go back to your client role, and it will take you back to the client homepage. The other thing I'd like to notify you of is the menu options. They have changed. They're now down here on the left-hand side of the screen. And as you see, as you highlight over each of the menu options, you can also click on them where there's an arrow, and it will drill down further into each tab. So that's how you can go in and access some additional information depending on the tab. I'll walk you through those here shortly. The other thing I'd like to have you notice is right here where there's 3 bars. If you want to make this screen bigger and minimize your menu over here to the left, you can do so simply by clicking these 3 bars here and minimizing this menu over here to the left. So again, if you want to minimize that, you click on this. If you want it to reappear showing the full menu, you just click back on the 3 bars and it will bring you back to showing your full menu view. Whenever you initially log in, the most important thing that we ask you to do is go ahead and change your password. So to do that, you'll go over here to this gear settings button. So you've got the gears here. You click on settings, then you go to preferences. Once you click on preferences, it will bring up another window, and this is where you can change your password. So anywhere where you see it's in blue, or when you highlight or hover over the blue highlighted area and it has the hand icon, that means you can click on that and go into that specific area. So I'm going to click on the password. This is where you can go in and assign your new password and change that. So it's going to ask you your new password and then ask you to confirm your new password as well. Also, what's important to note in here, where I was talking about on the home page or the dashboard, your default access. If you have both client and employee access Or if you're accessing multiple companies, if you have multiple companies with us that you usually access, this is where you can go in and select what your default access is going to be or what you would like it to be. So go down to the bottom under default access, click on where it says select role, and this is where you can select what you would want to show when you first log in. So default access is what shows when you first log in. So you choose which one you want, and then you click on it. And I want it to be this demo access, so I'll just keep that. Then you click save to update it. So again, ultimately what you can do in this settings window, then preferences, is update your password and choose your default access should you want to change it. So again, you click save and it will update your changes here. I'm going to go back to the dashboard and show you a few things here. On your dashboard, like I said, some of these options might not be out here. If you don't do PTO requests through the system, through us for your company, then this won't show. And if you don't have levels of approval for timesheets or invoice access, then this won't show. But by default, the last invoice and the quick links will show out here. So those will stay in place. You cannot delete these or move these. These are static on the dashboard or home page. So the other thing I'd like for you to notice is right here next to your name, there is a widget control center. Through here, when you drop down, you can choose these additional widgets that you can show on your home page. So I'm going to click on a few just to show you what it looks like. So let's say you want to choose executive overview, then you want to do total invoice. And again, you can add as many as you want, or you can delete them by clicking the X if you don't like the widget that you've chosen, or you don't want to see it or don't want to junk up your home page. So let's say the executive overview wants to see something other than gross wages information. You can click on the down bar in here and go to, let's say, net wages. Then it will update and show you net wages in this executive overview for last payroll, then give the month to date and year to date information. And again, you can choose what you want to view within this executive overview. If you want to look at the total invoice information, it defaults to the last 12 months. You can also go in and change this to whatever you'd like to view. You want to click on 3 months, you can do that, and it will update it according to the last 3 months. In here in these widgets that you add, you can change how the order is on the home page for these. When you see this icon come up where it's got the arrows, you can click on that and drag it over and move them wherever you'd like them to be placed on your home page or dashboard. And again, you can add as many as you want, or you can simply delete them by clicking the X in the widget right here. Also, another feature that is in the D2 system is doing an employee search from the home page, so you don't have to drill down within the menu. If you're just wanting to log in and look at an employee record, you can do so by clicking in this search bar to do an employee search. So let's just say we want to search for an employee. I'm going to type in a demo employee, and you can type her name in and click on her record and it will bring it up. I will show you what that looks like here in a minute going into employee records. For now, the other things I want to show you on this home page, you can also go to recently visited areas where you've visited within your access by clicking on recently visited. And then, like you see, we were in preferences. You could go back to preferences instead of going back to settings, then choosing preferences. So it's just a shortcut should you want to do that. Anytime you want to go back to that home page, you just click on dashboard over here in the menu and it will take you back to that home page. The other things on here that I would like to show you, like I said, this is a shortcut right here. You can go to your most recent invoice that we have posted out here for you. So say you receive your notification email that your payroll has been processed, and you want to just go quickly look at your payroll reports and invoices. To do so, you can either do it from this last invoice quick link or drill down here through the menu. So I'm going to show you quickly through this quick link on the home page. Again, where it's highlighted in blue, and when you hover over and see the hand icon, that's where you know you can click into that and go further and drill down. So when I click on this is going to bring up the most recent invoice. It's going to show you wages, give you totals at the bottom, taxes, benefits, and fees. So again, it will give you totals at the bottom of each field for these specific items. Then over here to the right, it's going to give you the invoice detail breakdown, and it's showing you that it's giving you the most recent payroll that we've processed for you. Should you want to go look at other payroll invoice dates, you can do so by clicking on the down button here and go to the other invoice dates that we have out here for you in the system. So to simply go to those, you just click on those and it will bring up the information for that specific pay period. The other area that's important to note is the reports area. This is where you can access all your payroll reports. To do so, you just click on Choose a Report on the down bar here. Then you choose which report you want to view. So I'm going to click on the Employee Check Register. When I do that, it will bring up what you're used to seeing as the Employee Check Register report. So this does look the same as what you're used to seeing as far as your payroll report. It acts the same as well as far as you can go down to the bottom of the report and you can click to save, print, zoom in, zoom out, whatever you'd like to do within the specific report. And as you see, it did open up in a separate window. So when you're done viewing the report, you can close out that separate window and it takes you back to your view where you're viewing your current invoice or whichever invoice date you've chosen. The other thing is, for this specific pay date, you can view the checks. It will show you the total number of checks for this specific pay period. To view those checks, you can click on checks, and down here towards the bottom, it will give you a list of all checks that were recorded for this specific pay period. So as you see, it's listing them out. You can either go to the dollar icon, and it will let you view the employee's pay stub. By clicking on that icon, it brings up the pay stub and lists out all the information for this specific pay period for this employee. This is also what the employee will see on their side for the pay stub. So they can also print, you can print as well, or they can just close it out and you can go on to the next employee if you need to look at that pay stub for that next employee. Another neat new feature is this quick view. And anywhere you see this throughout D2, this gray circle with the white arrow is a quick view access. So when you click on this brings up for this specific employee a quick view. It's showing you the pay code, the benefit, deductions, taxes for this specific employee for this pay period. So if you just wanted to do a quick view within here, you can do that. To go back, you just click on the quick view again, and it will take you back to viewing all checks for this pay period. So again, as you see, that was the quick access, but also over here to the left, it shows you how it drilled down into the menu and viewing the invoice and the payroll report. So it drilled down under payroll, invoices, and then we went to current. If you wanted to look at a list of all your invoices and payroll reports, you would just click on list, and it would take you to a list of all the invoices and reports that you can access here. So it will list those out, give you the check date, totals, and all of that additional information. Anywhere within this view here throughout the other menu options that you see, an export to Excel icon here, You can export this information into Excel should you need to. If you need to do a quick search for a specific invoice number, you can do that. You can also do advanced filter should you need to. I'm going to take you back to the dashboard or the home page and show you another feature. If you wanted to go out and just quickly view any news items that are out here, you can click on that and it will take you directly to news items that have been posted or that you have created, as you can now do that as a client user. Or if there's any to-do items that you have, it will show that. And as you see, there's an icon here showing you have one to-do item. So you would click on that and go view what that is. We also have this contacts feature now where you can go out and see any benefit carrier information that we have for you, for your company. So for example, the benefits as far as the medical plan, the life and LTD, the FSA and COBRA, and then the dental and vision, and if it's applicable, the 401k information. You've got the name of the company, what type of plan it is, and their phone number. You can also email them directly from here if you wanted to. That will also show on the employee side. They will be able to see that as well. So I'm going to take you in directly to the employee information because that's one of the important features now that I feel like you need to go in and access, as there are a few changes. You now, as a client user, have the ability to go in and make changes. Now that is depending on if you've been given access as a client user to make changes in the system for employees. So we will verify that with the main client contact who is eligible or able to make any employee-related changes through the new D2 system. If you're not sure, you can just reach out and we can let you know that. So to access your employees, you'll go to the employee menu, then click on list, and it will bring up a list of all of your active employees. It automatically defaults to active employees. If you wanted to show inactive employees as well, you would just click on show inactive, and it would not only show you your active employees, but also your inactive employees. So as you see over here, this demo employee, Mark Winters, over here to the right, he's marked as inactive from this inactive column. If you wanted to only show active again, you could just either do restore default grid or re-click on show inactive and it would unselect that. And now you see they're only active employees. To go in and view an employee record, all you need to do is click right here on the employee's name, again where it's blue, and that will take you into the employee record. As you see, this does look a little different. Now it has their name, their employee ID, and a mass Social Security number. We default to this for all of our clients and all of our employees. That way, in case anybody is behind you while you're viewing your employee record or employees' records, it masks their Social Security number for security reasons. So right here, as you see, it gives that information and then their department and position for the specific employee. If they have a division set up, it will show that along with their work status, full-time, part-time, seasonal, whatever their status is in our system. You can also move through here to the next record or next employee should you want to, but I'm going to show you a few things in this specific employee's record. So right off the bat, as you'll see, you can now inactivate employees through the D2 system directly in the employee's record, which means you no longer have to submit a term payroll action form going forward. Once you're active in this new D2 system, you can now inactivate or terminate employees directly from the D2 system. To do so, you would go over to the red Inactivate Employee button, click on that, and it will bring up a list that you can drill down and choose from for their reason for termination. So you can choose from the list. Then down here under inactivate date, you can either manually enter the date here, or you can go to the calendar to the right and choose the date. And again, just like on the term payroll action form or PAF, we ask that you enter their pay through date or last day worked. So when you do this and you choose a date, all you'll need to do is go ahead and click save, and it will then inactivate that employee. Once you do that, it will turn his name or her name and all of this top information right here to red. Then this button will turn to green and say reactivate employee. So that's how you will know that they're now termed in our system through the D2 system. Once you terminate them through the D2 system, it will send us a notification, and then we will get an email and we will import that termination into our internal system. Should you have a need to add any special comments or requirements for your term, then all you'll need to do is email or call your payroll specialist directly and let them know the special instructions. So for example, once you terminate them, you can either call or email your payroll specialist and let them know if you need a live check sent. If they are normally set up for direct deposit and you want a live check sent instead, or if they have vacation or sick time that they need to be paid for on their final check. We hope ultimately that they will have an option in the system that they will allow you to add special comments, but for now, until they add that, then if you'll just reach out directly to your payroll specialist and let them know any special instructions should there need to be any. If not, you just simply walk through that termination process and you're done. The other things that you can change out here at your client level access, should you be authorized to do so, would be their position, their department, their hire date, should you need to update their original hire date, and their employee status or employment status. So let's say you want to go in and change their position to a different position. You click in this section here under position and choose which position they need to change to. Same thing for department. If you're moving them to a different department, you could choose that specific department that you want to change them to. And then you can click save, and it will come up with a green success notification just letting you know that the change has been successfully made through the system. The employees will have the same view just for themselves, but they will not be able to make changes to client changes that would be normally made by the client. Shortly, I will show you what it looks like in the employee level access, so you'll see how they're not able to make the change. They can only view it. The other thing that you can change is if you go under payroll and pay codes, is you can now do pay rate changes through the system. So again, just like no more term PAF, you will no longer have to submit a payroll action form for a pay rate change. You can do it directly through the new D2 system. So let's say you want to go in and change his salary rate because that's how he's being paid. And just to let you know, when you click on payroll and pay codes, this is a list of all pay codes that have ever been assigned to this specific employee. So even though they might not be paying, say, an hourly rate, it might have been that they were paid an hourly rate at one time. So that might be why you see it out here. But they're currently being paid salary as it's active. So you go into salary because that's the pay code you want to change. Then you see it's a salary pay record. And you go on the pay rate section and update their pay rate based on what you want to change it to. So once you enter the amount, it's letting you know over here to the right that you're doing the pay rate based on an annual rate. And you can then click save and it will update it. So let me just show you quickly what that's going to look like. When you click save here, It's asking if you want to roll it down to other pay codes that would be related to this. You can click yes or no. We do suggest you roll it down because it will change it for holiday or sick if they have those assigned to them. So you click on yes. Then it will update it here and show you you've changed it. That's a pretty good pay increase. So again, in this view here, you'll see you can also go to the right of each pay code and look at history for this pay code. You can look at a summary, or you can look at pay rate changes for this specific pay code. So let's just go into this. We're going to go look at changes and see what they have been changed to. So on here, you can see that on 10/23, they had a change to 210,000, and then on 11/1, they had another change. Then you can go back to the list if you would like to. Now, it didn't show the new amount because we haven't accepted it on our end. So until we accept it, that's when it will show in that history. But as you see here, it updated it and it rolled it down to these other areas because I chose to say yes to roll it down. So it rolled it down to sick and vacation as well. The other thing that you can go in and change is the taxes or the direct deposit information. Direct deposit, I think, is kind of self-explanatory, so there's no need now for you or the employee to send in direct deposit change forms. You can now just do it through the system, or the employee, which we recommend, can do it through the system. So let me show you taxes first, then I'll show you direct deposit. So taxes, if there's a state tax and you need to change that, depending on where you're located, if there is a state tax, you can go in and change that should you want to. Or federal, so the W-4, you can go in and change that now and not have to submit a W-4 any longer. So let's say this employee wanted to change, we'll leave them at married, but they wanted to change their exemptions from 2 to 1. So you change that, then you go over here and click save, and it will update it in the system. Then again, it will notify us of a change. We can import it into our system. Under payroll and direct deposit, this is another area, like I said, they can change. So let's say their Chase Bank account was compromised and they need to go in and take out this existing account number and replace it with a new account number because they had to open up a new account. Everything else stays the same. They just want to change the account number. So then they go in and under account number, they just enter their new account number. Once they do that, and if they want to keep everything the same, then they just click save and it will update it in the system. So just like direct deposit changes were before when you submitted a form, you can also expect to have a pre-note process when you make a change online for direct deposit through the D2 system. The next payroll that occurs after the change is made would then be a pre-note. So that would then prompt a live check for that next pay period. As long as everything goes through the system, through the banking system, and there's no errors, and it shows it's an active open account under that employee's name, then it will go through fine as a pre-note, and the next payroll after that one will then be their new direct deposit. If for some reason there is an error, then we get a notification from the bank and we reach out directly to the employee and let them know that we received an error for their direct deposit change. Then we can make an update or have them make an update as needed and then rerun it through the system as a change. Then that next one will then pre-note. The other areas that you as a client user can go to is benefits. You can look at the plans that this employee is enrolled in, their dependents, beneficiaries, that type of information. HR typically won't apply. We can, unless you have the PTO. So if there's additional information you want to know on that, on the PTO, you can go in and look at that. Or if you have questions about that, you can reach out to us and we can give you more information or training on that should you need to. But typically there won't be a lot of information for most of our clients under HR. Checks. This is where you can go look at check history for this specific employee. So again, you can go and look on that icon to view their pay stub or go to that quick view for the specific pay date. Once we transfer over the historical data for prior years, they can then click on the select year and go back historically back to 2015 and look at their pay history or check history. They can also click on summary and look at summary information, or this is where they will go and view their W-2s once we post them online. Documents, this is where any documents would be held, such as employee handbooks, policies, or any documents that you at the company level want to add for your employee. So as you see, you now have the ability over here to the right to add a document should you want to. Any documents that were already existing in D1 will transfer over to D2. But again, if you want to add your own document, you can do that through Add New Document, and it will take you through the steps of doing that. So again, just like the view here for this specific employee in your client access, the employee will have most of this as their view as well, with the exception of they will not be able to inactivate themselves or make some changes such as pay code change, position, or title. So that's viewing the employee's record. I'm going to go back to list and show you another feature within here. Other than being able to look at your inactive employees by clicking here on Show Inactive, you can also sort employees through this view in your list view as well. So let's just say you want to sort employees by department. You'll go to that column, you'll click it and drag it over here, then it will automatically sort the employees by department. If you want to do by department, then last name, you can do that by clicking on the last name column and dragging right next to department, and it will do by department, then last name. If you want to go back to just your plain employee list, you can do Restore Default Grid, or you can take off any of these additional filters that you've done by clicking the X next to the name, and it will remove them. So once you do that, it takes you back to your original list view. You also have the ability to go next to the end of the column here for each column and do additional filters or sort based on what your needs are. You can click on columns and it will let you select what columns you see. Then you can also click on filter and do additional filters. Is equal to, starts with, contains, just depending on what you want to sort or search for, filter for within your employee list view. And just like I said before too, you can also export to Excel anywhere where it has it up in here in the view, whichever menu option you're looking in. So as you see, you can also click on the column and it will sort it by that column header. So as you see, when I clicked on first name, it's now sorting by employee's first name. You can do last name or employee ID. So however you're wanting to sort, there's multiple ways to do that. If there's a certain sort or filter option that you've done that you'd like to save, you can do Save Grid Settings and it will save that. You can name them as well. So you have that ability to do that as well. If you want to search for an employee, not only can you search up here, like I said, that was on your home page and stays up here all throughout you looking through the D2 system, no matter where you go, but under the employee list feature, you can also search for an employee by entering their name here. So that's the employee record information, how you can access employee records. The other thing that you'll notice is the employees can now add a picture should they want to, so that will now show out there. If not, it will just have this avatar image that will show by default. The other important area that you need to access if you submit payroll for hourly employees through the system is by going to payroll, and then you click on payroll again, and then time entry. So depending on the type of time entry that you do, should you submit time through our system, then it would be, you would go through time entry, or if you did time punches and you wanted to view those, you could do that as well. So I'm going to just show you basic time entry. Should you have a need to go through additional training for time punches or anything further beyond what I'm going to show you, you can definitely reach out to me and I can do additional training at any time should you need it. So let's just say we're going to do basic time entry. You as a client user enter your hourly employees' hours. So we're going to do it based on that. So automatically, as you see out here, there is an Add New Timesheet button. So when you click on Add New Timesheet, it will bring up something that you're familiar with seeing, this Create Timesheet window. So it gives you your from and to date. And typically it should auto increment. Again, I'm in a demo environment, so we've been doing a lot of testing, so it's not current dates for us. But if it doesn't auto increment, just like before, should you need to, you can click on the calendar and choose your date. So I'm just going to go through here and choose date so I can show you what it's going to look like. It's on the wrong date. Okay. So out here, if you were to have multiple profiles, say you had just a regular biweekly, semi-monthly profile out here that you normally enter into, but you either also have a commission profile that you enter into sometimes, or a vacation or PTO profile that you sometimes enter into when needed, you can choose from the drop-down list which profile you want to go into and create a timesheet for. So I'll show you once you've created your normal timesheet profile, say for your regular hourly employees, what you need to do if you need to do multiple timesheets. So let's just start with the basic timesheet entry profile. So again, you can choose your profile should you need to, or it will default to one. Make sure your dates are correct. You do not have to enter check date, name. You can name it if you wanted to for your record keeping purposes. You don't have to do anything else on here other than just click save. So if you click save, it then creates the timesheet. And sometimes this just takes a minute through my system because there's a lot of data that it's going through. So as you see, it's doing this. It's letting you know it's creating the timesheet, telling you to please be patient. It could take a few minutes to complete. So again, if you have a need to do something other than a basic timesheet for your hourly employees, such as time punch, importing a timesheet profile from a time clock system, I can show you that and do an individual webinar should you need to. So you'll see it opens up the timesheet right here. So in here, this just like in D1 looks familiar. So you'll see here that it has your hourly column, overtime, vacation, sick, so on and so forth. Now, your original timesheet profile that was set up in D1 will be the same setup in D2. Again, I'm in a demo environment, so we've kind of opened up all of these columns just as a test environment, but you as your company profile that you currently have set up will have the same setup in D2. So if you had just the hourly and overtime and vacation, that's all that would show for you. But if you had these other columns, it would show in your setup as well in your new D2 system. So for example, you can see anywhere where it's grayed out, these are salary paid employees. So there's nothing you need to enter in the hourly columns for them. But any of these that are open, you go in and you enter their hours, just depending on how many hours they had for that pay period. Then you can tab over, or you can just go down to the next employee and enter their hours, whatever they have, just like before. So you enter in whatever they need to be paid for this specific pay period. So as you see, it updates your totals down here on the bottom. So that's the same as before. I do recommend that you save throughout. So as you see, there's some buttons up here. The save button, you click on that and it'll let you know it's saving, it's been saved. So just like before, what you were used to in D1, if there's something that you don't see in the timesheet profile that you need to add as an additional comment, something in addition to that's not already in the timesheet, then there is still that option. To do that, you would go to comments and it would bring up the comments box for you. This is where you would go in and enter, let's say you have a new employee that for some reason had not been entered into the system before you created your timesheet. Because again, remember, your timesheet, when you click on save and it creates the timesheet profile, is a snapshot or screenshot of that exact moment of what we have in the system for those employees. So if you've created your timesheet early and we've added a new employee since then, it doesn't update in an existing timesheet profile that you might have already saved. So let's say you've got an employee that you need to add in here that's hourly to pay them. So in this comments box, you would enter, pay Jane Doe $10 an hour for 80 hours, or whatever the case may be. When you click Save Changes, it will then add those comments in with this timesheet. When you send this timesheet in, it will then attach those additional comments along with the timesheet, just like before in D1. So if you have employees that enter their own hours into the system, so what you would do to bring in those employees' hours is click on the Consolidate All button. Once you do that, it will bring in your employees' hours. So that works the same as well. So I'm just kind of giving you a few options of if you do different ways of getting employees' time in the system for hourly employees, how you would do that. Once you are done, and you, again, click Save just to make sure, but then you think, you know what, I want to make sure that Rosa actually had those 2 hours of overtime. So I've clicked Save. I actually want to exit out of here, go check with Rosa, then I'll log back into the system. What you do is you save it, then you can log out, and how to log out is down here through the menu option or going up here where you went to settings and do log out from here. So let's just act like we've logged out and you've logged back in at your client level access. So you're on your home page. You want to go back into that timesheet that's open and in edit status. You go back to payroll, then payroll again, time entry. Then you'll see there's an open timesheet that is in edit status. To go back into that specific timesheet, this is where you can click on the edit or the pencil icon and reopen that timesheet. You did confirm Rosa worked those 2 overtime hours, so you'll leave those on there and continue on. So if you were used to going in and accessing report, you still have that option by going over here to the reports button all the way to the right. Once you click on report, it will bring up the different report options that you can view for this specific timesheet. So let's just say you want to do an employee totals report. We click on that. And again, it opens it up in a separate window and gives you your totals for the employee totals for this specific pay period. From here, you could click your print button and then it would print it out should you want to print it. If not, then you close that separate window. You've looked at your report, everything looks fine, and it takes you back to this report options window where you can choose which report to view. If you're done, you can just click close. And let's just say you want to submit the timesheet. Once you are done, and again, I would recommend clicking save just in case, all you need to do is go over to the submit button and click submit. When you do that, it takes you back to your view right here where it showed you the timesheet, the from and to dates, but then instead of edit status, it shows released, just like before in D1. Then we get an email notification at Zog that says you have a timesheet out there to import for this specific client. We import it into our system. Once we've imported it for processing, this then changes to transferred. So that's the different statuses that you'll see. If it is an edit status, again, you have not submitted it and you can still go in and make changes. Released means you did click submit and it has notified us we need to bring in that timesheet profile for processing. Transferred means you can no longer go in to that actual timesheet profile and make any changes. If you want to look at any transferred files that you sent to us, you just click on show transferred and it will show a list of all the transferred timesheets you submitted to us. So as I was saying before, if you have multiple timesheet profiles, such as another commission timesheet profile that you only access sometimes when you need to pay commission to specific employees, what you would do from here is you can go to the add new timesheet, just like you did before. Then you go to the drop down and click the other timesheet profile. So it would be named maybe commission. And then you could go through the same process, confirming the date or changing them should you need to. Then you click save and open up a whole new timesheet for that specific profile. You could enter your commissions, then you could submit it just like you did for this timesheet profile. It follows the same way. So let me just show you a few things real quick. Like I said, you've got a lot of these quick links you can go in and access, but to go through here and drill down for specific information, you had your quick link for your last invoice or payroll report. If you go down to payroll and then invoices, that's where you can access your current or a list of your invoices to go through and access your payroll reports and invoices. Same thing with employees. Like I showed you before, you can drill down within there. Company, this is where you can go in, and under tools, you can go under news and view any news items that are out here, or you can add new news. So this is another way where you can add it, like I was saying. The other thing that you can see under setup would be if you have the need to go in and access any of these additional features. So again, we can add these if you want. They won't typically be out there for your setup, but if that's something that you're interested in or want more information on, we can show you that or do additional training. Human resources, again, you probably won't need to access this information typically unless you have PTO. If you wanted to go view PTO, you'd go to Human Resources and then click on PTO, and it would show you any PTO that you have set up, either vacation, sick, or like PTO 1, PTO 2, and go in and view those specific PTO details for your setup. Under library, this is where you can go and access documents. So say you have employee documents out here, you can go out there and look at your specific employee documents or company documents. So this is where typically under library documents from and then company, you can see all of the documents that are out here, such as an employee handbook or policies, anything like that. Under benefits, once we open up the open enrollment feature, this is where you can go in and see the enrollment process. The Open Enrollment Monitor is where you as a client user can go out and see where the employees are in their open enrollment process if it applies to your company or your employees. You can also go look at the benefit plans that the employees have selected, and some of these are additional information that you won't see regularly throughout the year. Reporting, this is where you can go out and access any special reports that we might have created for you for your company. That would be under Report Writer. Insight, this is a great new feature. You can go out under Insight, and let's just say we're going to go to invoicing and look at history. So out here under this Insight and Invoicing, you have the ability to do a filter, sort. You can do daily, monthly, annual invoice report. You can do a sliding scale here based on your dates, or you can do your date search here. You can do a quick filter and go year to date, current month, current quarter. Then you can select here your search criteria and then do refresh grid. The other neat new feature is under payroll, and let's just say we want to click on gross wages and do graphs and charts for payroll and gross wages. As you see, it now does charts and graphs for you. So again, same thing. You can do daily, monthly, annually. You can also do a sliding scale should you want to. Say you want to go back to February. It will update the chart down here for you. If you wanted to do detail by division, department, then you do build chart and it will update it. And you'll see it's doing it by department now. And it gives gross wages and it tells you the department information. So you do have a lot more capabilities for reporting should you want that. So that's an extra feature on here as well. So that's it on the client side for now, unless you have additional questions or want additional training in different areas, then you can reach out to us and we can help you with that. I do want to quickly show you the employee side because there are a few different features out here. So I'm going to go to a test or demo employee. And as you see, it is a little bit different view. They don't have some of those widgets at the top or the quick links that you saw in your client view from before. It does have the same feature where you can minimize here, but if it's only employee view, they will not have the ability, obviously, to go between different levels of access. But you, as a client user, if you have employee access, you can still do that. As you also see, there are fewer menu options over here to the left. So first things I want to show you, you've got some shortcuts out here that you can access at the employee level, such as your last 10 paychecks. Again, anywhere where you hover over and you see the hand icon, you can click on that and pull up that specific pay stub. If there's any pending to-do items, if you have news, like say we have put a news item out here that we're closing early or closed for a holiday or anything like that, that would be out here. Or again, you as a client can add specific news items out here for your employees to see as well. As I showed you in the client view, we have this client list, which is new contact list, which is new as well. So out here are the benefit carriers that pertain to your specific company that are available. So it's got the name, the type of the plan, the phone number, then they also have the ability to go to that specific site. So I'm just going to click on Cigna. Say they want to go out to their website. So from that quick link, you can now view the website by clicking on that link in a separate window. So the employees and you at the client level now have the ability to access the carrier website through your D2 access. So as you saw, you can move these around. If you hover over and see the icon where it's got the arrows, and you just click on it and drag it to wherever you want to view it. You can change your view, whatever you find that you want at the top, you can move that around. So the employees can access their personal information, their employee record, by going to My Info, then Info, and they have the same view as you saw in your client level access. They just have less ability to make any changes to specific information. So for example, out here, you see they have some areas that are grayed out, such as department, position, the start date, and then over here, the employment status. Anywhere where it's grayed out, they cannot make changes, and they will get this icon that shows them. I'm clicking on it right now, and it is not allowing me to make any changes or do a drop down or anything. So they will receive this no access icon showing that they cannot make changes to that. Any other areas where you see it's not grayed out, such as address or email, they can make changes to that information. Then they can click Save. This is also where they can go in and add a picture should they want to. Then they can also go in and view the same information like you saw in your client view out here in their employee record. So let me just show you quickly on pay codes. As you saw, there is a list of pay codes that they've been paid. But again, I'm going to go under salary for the specific employee. All of these are grayed out. They cannot make any changes. They can only view it. They can see any history or see a summary of the specific pay code that they're in. Or they can go back to the list of pay codes that they have out here to view. The other thing that is important to note is out here on their homepage. I'm going to go back to the dashboard. Once we open up open enrollment, which is considered the second phase, first phase is transitioning you as a client and the employees over to D2. Then the second phase is doing the open enrollment through the D2 site. So just like in prior years, the open enrollment feature is open for all eligible employees that are enrolled in benefits or have the ability to be in benefits or elect benefits. So once we open up that feature, it will show up here in this blue highlighted area saying it's open. They can click here. They can also go to Open Enrollment is Available and click here where you see the heart and the heartbeat going, or they can drill down in their menu by going to Benefits, then Enrollment. Once they click in any of these areas, it then takes them to the enrollment wizard, and it walks them through step by step, and they can continue the open enrollment process. When they go through the process, they will also see this percentage complete icon over here, which walks them through and shows them what level they're at as far as their percentage complete. So once they are completely done and they've submitted all of their information or changes for this upcoming year, then it will show at 100%. So just like in prior years in doing the enrollment process through the online site, the other thing that is the same is if employees do not want to make any changes to their current benefit setup, if they're fine with whatever level that they're enrolled in, gold, silver, bronze, if applicable, or if they don't want to make any changes, such as if they're enrolled in family coverage and they want to keep that the same and don't want to go to a different level of coverage, and they don't want to re-enroll in Flex, or enroll in Flex if they haven't before. They don't need to go through the enrollment process. If they want to keep everything the same, they don't need to do anything. And if they don't want to enroll in Flex. If they do want to make any changes, or if they want to enroll in Flex or re-enroll in Flex, they do need to go through the enrollment process through the Darwinet system. Out here also, under the library in the menu, this is another way where they can go and access those documents. So again, company documents, they can access that from here. And it will list out any company document. So under My Info and Preferences, this is where the employees can go and update or change their password should they want to. Or again, same way, they can go to Settings, just like you did in your client view, then Preferences, and it takes them to the same window. So again, if there's any additional information that you're needing trained on or have questions about, please feel free to reach out to us. You can reach out to your payroll specialist, to Cheryl in Human Resources, or to anybody else at Zog, and we'll be happy to help you. Or you can even go down here and click on the DNet at zoginsurance.com and send us an email and request additional training, or type in an email any questions you might have, and we can follow up with you. That's it as far as the webinar goes for the D2 transition. So again, feel free to reach out if you have any questions, and thank you for taking the time to listen to the recorded webinar for the D2 transition.